All right, let's get straight into it. So thanks again for joining, everyone. So today's agenda, we're going to cover off an introduction as to why we're doing this market play. We'll also take a bit of a step back and go into what is wholesale distribution. So a bit of an overview, key factors, and how the wholesale distribution company operates. So it might be a bit of knowledge that you already know, but we're going to take a step back and have a look at that anyway. We're also going to cover off advanced for wholesale distribution, where James will jump in and go through things like the CVP, key features, benefits, and the target audience. And then we'll jump in with a solution demo with Alesh, who's just joined us. We'll then also go through the supporting HighSpot resources, or in your case, not HighSpot, but the portal resources. And we'll also cover off things like the content that will be included in there. So let's wrap up and get underway. So in terms of what and why, so first things first. What are we doing? So in this market play, we'll obviously introduce the capability and strengths of wholesale distribution with a targeted kind of campaign around that as well. So why are we doing this is because we don't proactively operate in this market, and we have strong product capabilities to compete with, but without need of an industry product addition. So it's really about giving us the capability to really get into that area and be able to, I guess, compete in terms of other wholesale distribution companies that are out there in terms of what we can offer. We've already operating organically in this industry, but it's in very low volumes, as you can read here. And the metrics are showing we convert very well and with a shorter sales life cycle than our other two core industries. So it's really about, I guess, differentiating in the market and increasing where we can actually help out. In terms of success, we're looking at lead generation of sales, and also, I guess, obviously selling to customers that are in that industry, so wholesale distribution. And in terms of when, we're looking at impacting, obviously, this month, moving into December before the end of the year. So let's take a look through, as I said, a bit of an overview of what the wholesale distribution industry is all about, and in terms of what we're going to cover. What we'll actually go through is what is the wholesale distribution, some key factors around wholesale distributors, and how wholesale distribution business operates. So first things first, what is wholesale distribution? So let's start with some of the fundamental concepts. So wholesale refers to a type of business that really buys products in bulk from one or more manufacturers and sells them at prices that are typically lower than those available in our retail outlets. Wholesale businesses often specialize also in just the one type of product. So depending on the nature of the product, many wholesale businesses import their goods into Australia from overseas and therefore have a foreign currency requirement as well. Distribution refers to the activities of a business that acts as a middleman between manufacturers or wholesalers and retailers who sell the products to consumers. However, the difference between wholesale and distribution is sometimes kind of blurred in the way we think about that, with terms being used interchangeably or combining them in a phrase such as wholesale distribution business, which can sometimes be a little bit confusing. And this is how MYOB refers to business in this space. Our distribution business operates in two main areas. So we have buying products in bulk from manufacturers and reselling them to retailers or other resellers who sell to the end user / consumers, or buying products from manufacturers and selling them directly to the end consumer. A distribution business may also carry out functions such as logistics and warehousing for manufacturers. The prices a distribution business charges may be lower or higher than wholesale prices, depending on the arrangement with the manufacturer as well. Now, in terms of the key factors of any wholesale distribution organisation, so let's have a look at what they are. As you can see, it's broken into three components. We have our customers, we have our supply chain management, we have fast on-time delivery, and inventory management. But let's have a breakdown at each of those. So with the customer, first of all, customer is the heart of the business, and that's no different with wholesale distribution. Without customers, there is no business, obviously. Customers demand high quality, low pricing, obviously great customer service along with all their interactions with us. Typically topics like inventory management, supply chain management, shipping, e-commerce, warehouse management systems, and procurement management are top of mind for wholesale distribution companies. In terms of supply chain management, so wholesale distribution businesses are usually dealing with physical goods of some kind that are made by the manufacturer. The key is managing the goods with the right timing, because carrying too much inventory means the business may have spent too much money on the inventory as they aren't moving it quickly, and it's tying up their funds because it's sitting around taking up space, obviously, in the warehouse and so forth. Carrying too little inventory results in dissatisfied customers because if a customer places an order and we're not able to fulfill that order within a particular time frame, the customer may go elsewhere where they can get it faster. Next, with inventory management, so once a wholesale distribution business has the inventory on hand, and the key is the managing of the inventory and knowing where it is in real time. So you've got it on hand. Where is it? How much have we got of it? And is it available to give to our customers? Depending on the size of the organisation, this can also bottleneck and increase company spend because they have to reorder items potentially that they can't locate because of manual processes and inefficiencies that we have there. And then lastly, we've got delivery. So in terms of fast on-time delivery, which is the last key element to loop into these whole key factors, lowest cost with a requirement of communication to the customer is key. So how much communication can decide if the customer is going to be a repeat customer or not. So think about the times that you guys have ordered stuff and not received any communication and what that experience was like for you, because that's similar to what we're talking about here. And another thing to think about too is think about how you guys purchase items at the moment and take Amazon as a good example as to how they work. The reason why they win so much business is because of their Amazon Prime, which basically, for those who don't know, is that same day delivery. So that's a key one for how they win in the market. But think about how that impacts the demand of for wholesale distribution companies to react just as quickly as well. So lastly, let's have a look here, lastly for myself anyway, how wholesale distribution companies operate. So I've broken it, I guess, into three separate components here as to how they operate. So we've got product, we've got supply chain management, delivery, and sell, or sell, then delivery, probably wrong order there. So in terms of product, first of all, so obviously a manufacturer builds the product, whether you work directly with the manufacturer or are the reseller, it all starts with having the product that needs to move, right? So this can be that you are a wholesaler, a distributor, or a wholesale distributor. It doesn't matter, but you've got to have that key product there, obviously. Next, supply chain management. So we don't have a company without a product, obviously, as I said, or service to sell, which is what we're talking about. So it's vital that we get our hands on the right amount of inventory and time it perfectly to balance our company spend with customer demand, which I kind of touched on in the previous slide. Next, we need to sell that product, obviously. So when I talk about selling the product, it's important to have the right sales channels in place to sell the products based on the customer needs and requirements. These sales channels can mean the difference between repeat business and non-repeat business. Next, we've got the delivery. So in order to keep ahead of the competition, it's important to make sure the customer receives their products on time, if not sooner, with as much clear communication on when they should expect their goods to arrive. Timing is everything when it comes to wholesale distribution customers and can mean the difference between retaining a customer and killing your brand, as you can imagine. So they're the key elements, guys, around how a wholesale distribution company operates. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to handball over to James, and James is going to go to how MYOB Advanced works with wholesale distribution. So over to you, James.
Yeah, thanks, Russell, and a really good overview of the industry there, I think. And so we talked about the industry in general, and now I'm going to talk about how advanced sort of services that industry need. And so I'll be talking about a lot of the same things that Russell's just covered, but from that sort of solution angle, I suppose. Russell, I take it you're driving my slides for me?
Happy to do so, yeah.
That'd be great. Okay, if you go to the next one. So someone's just coming in through the lobby. Yeah, so these are the main product groups involved in the advanced wholesale distribution solution. So it ties right back into what Russell was just talking about. And you can use, in a single solution, you can use Advanced to procure your items for sale. You can store them in your warehouse and track and manage them with the inventory module. You can take sales orders, including through e-commerce web stores like BigCommerce and Shopify. And you can manage that whole order through the pick, pack, pick, pack, and ship workflow, which fulfills the order and then sends it to the customer. Finally, you can invoice the customer and track everything that's going on through the financial module. Now, one of the big advantages of Advanced is that it is in one system, one look and feel, one source of the truth, and having all this in a single business management platform means that you get benefits like the ones shown on the left. So optimizing your inventory management by automating replenishment to bring in just the inventory you need and saving warehouse space. Improving customer experiences because you can fulfill the orders faster and you can make sure they're more accurate and not have mistakes in the orders going out to your customers. You can simplify purchasing by consolidating multiple orders to suppliers and also aligning purchases to sales orders. Again, optimizing warehouse storage, so just getting things in if you're buying them in to sell, just buying them in just before you need to fulfill the order. And all that faster and more accurate order fulfillment that I mentioned, a lot of that can happen in part because you're automating a lot of the process through Advanced. So you don't need to wait for people, to email the warehouse that this order needs to be fulfilled or anything like that. It's all automated. And you can use native e-commerce connectors. If you're using Shopify and BigCommerce, we have native e-commerce out of the box. Or you can integrate to other providers and sell your products anywhere around the globe. So that's our broad offer to the market. Let's go to the next slide, or maybe even the one after that, and talk about some of the features and benefits. So first up, I want to talk about the platform because it is a good platform that underpins the whole solution. And that platform is not just wholesale distributor specific, of course, but it's definitely worth revisiting and looking at it with a bit of a wholesale lens. So the platform itself, provides a single source of truth for all the major business operations, and they're provided as a high-performing, highly available, and secure software as a service solution on AWS technology. For wholesalers, it provides cross-business configurable workflows, so that can help improve productivity around that sales process and the purchasing process. It provides visibility into inventory and operations, enabling real business insights for decision-making. Like we just said, it's accessible anywhere as well as via mobile device. So it's very useful for all those warehouse teams that need to walk around filling orders. And it's extensible to other products or third-party apps for specialized functionality. And it's a highly scalable, efficient, integrated platform and improves accuracy throughout the business. So that's the platform. Let's now talk about the main functionality applicable to wholesalers on the next slide. So I'm not going to go into the details of all of these functions and their features and benefits. There's lots of collateral available that explains these in more detail. But you can see that all these functions relate to that earlier slide on the solution and the key business requirements of wholesalers that we've discussed. So these help manage the things that wholesalers need to do: marketing and managing customer orders, inventory and pricing, procurement, warehouse management, shipping, financials. It's all about that single integrated business management platform. Now, I want to just move past this slide and get onto the next one, because this is where we have some specific examples of customer challenges and how Advanced helps customers solve those problems. So I think this is a really important slide. If you've been multitasking, maybe now's the time to just draw some attention back to the screen, because this is really, this is giving you some of the things to talk about to potential customers and the ability to explain why Advanced helps solve some of these challenges. So a lot of challenges that wholesalers face in the industry are managing the inventory levels efficiently, holding excess stock, having visibility over that stock, not providing a poor customer experience due to slow and incorrect orders. They have challenges differentiating themselves from competitors. They have challenges truly understanding profit on item sales. It's not just about what you've paid to procure that item for sale, but there's more involved in that as well. Managing multiple warehouse locations, that's a really big one. It's something that Advanced does very well, helping manage customers who have multiple warehouses in different locations. Managing web stores and warehouse products, particularly with the e-commerce connector, that's great for syncing up your BigCommerce and Shopify stores with your warehouse. But even with integrations to other web stores, you can manage a lot of the day-to-day through Advanced Business. And managing sales and purchases in multiple currencies is another one. So how does Advanced address all these things? We've talked about some of the still up, mate. I'm still going. So they're the challenges. So on the right, these are just some examples of how Advanced can help. So linking purchase orders to sales order items, so it arrives just when you need it. and also being able to replenish optimal stock levels, so not holding too much safety stock, are ways that we can help manage these inventory levels more efficiently. The automation across the quote to cash workflow and also paperless picking, that helps ensure that customer orders are filled fast and accurately and gives the customers a better experience. Some competitive differentiation is that with Advanced, you can easily manage customer specific pricing and discounts. So customers can log in or call you up and they can get their own pricing different from the RRP price of your products. And it also has a really good product returns feature, which provides a better experience to your customers as well. Landed costs are one of the ways that you can help get a true understanding of the product. That's where you might be adding on freight or splitting other costs across a group of products to really understand for each product that you sell, what were the full costs involved in getting that product ready to sell. And that way you can tell, particularly for products that have a small margin, you might actually find that whilst you're nominally booking a profit, you're actually losing money on that product overall. So it's really good to get an understanding of those items. Multi-locations we talked about, Advanced does that really well. And you can also replenish or transfer items between your locations, between warehouses, and you can get a holistic view of all your stock across your whole business instead of having to look at each warehouse individually. E-commerce Connect, as I mentioned, and yeah, multi-currency, that's been rolled out in Advanced over the last few years, and it's being extended through Advanced, but we already have that extension for all key distribution functionality. So I think this is a really important slide, just helping link the benefits of Advanced to some of those direct customer challenges. And hopefully when you're out talking to prospects, you'll be able to have these types of conversations and those challenges will really sort of ring true to them as well. So that's an overview of the solution. Let's move on to who we're selling this to now. So yeah, go to the next one. So wholesale distribution obviously covers a wide range of different business types and products. So this is a good visual to sort of get a look at the subsegments or the micro verticals within wholesale distribution, whether it's pharmaceuticals, oil and gas, groceries, food services. So the products vary significantly across the sectors, but the processes and requirements for wholesale distribution are generally consistent. Now, Advanced is suitable for nearly all of these industries. However, there are certain industries that it fits better than others. So anything where things are sold as sort of individual items are really good. So if like packaged food, for example, or anything where people are buying in boxes of items or crates of items, and then they're breaking them down and selling them on as eaches or individual items. Anything like that is a really good fit for Advanced. Where we're not quite such a good fit is for things like weighted products like meat and fish, or irregularly measured products that might have multi-dimensions to them like timber and steel. So at this point, unless they're being very uniform with the way they're measuring or selling those things, we're not such a good fit for those types of sectors. There are also some industries where we have specific functionality that can be very helpful. So the apparel industry, for example, you can create stock items with a matrix item functionality. So that means you can have all your products in a matrix in Advanced that are tracking the color, the size, style variants. And then when you're looking at that product from the front end, or maybe on your web store, it's just showing up as a single item. So that's really handy for those industries. Batch and lot tracking, that can be really essential for industries such as grocery or pharmaceuticals, particularly around where you need to track product recalls. So if there's a recall of a batch of products where there's been some contamination or an issue, if you're using the batch and lot tracking, you can find all those items very easily in your warehouse and return them to the supplier. And serial number functionality as well. That's generally a requirement for computer equipment or agricultural product wholesale distributors. So that's another one that can be useful for some of these customers. And that's the industry segmentation. So just before I pass you over to Ilesh for a demonstration, we'll just have a look at the target audience. This is pretty straightforward. If you've been paying attention, hopefully you know we're talking about selling to wholesale distributors and customers with lots of warehousing requirements. And anything in our sort of mid-market target, that 20 to 1,000 employees, is a really good fit from a company size perspective. In terms of decision makers and influencers, it's all your usual ones, but probably plus procurement managers are important. But with your influencers, that operations staff and the warehouse managers. Someone just needs to mute. Maybe. Yeah, so obviously if, oh, I just got muted as well. Someone doesn't like what I'm saying. Obviously, if you've got the warehouse managers on board with this solution, they can really see the benefits, then they're going to be talking up the chain to the decision makers and advocating for Advanced as a solution. So that's it from me. Obviously, yeah, any questions you can put in the chat and we'll do our best to answer them. And I'll pass across now to Alesh, who's going to take us through a bit of a demo of our solution.
Thanks a lot, James. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. So I'll take over, Russell. So look, in a demonstration, there's a lot to cover, but I've only got 20 minutes. So I'm going to focus on the key area of the wholesale distribution functionality in MYOB Advanced and focus on a couple of key workflows, that is the buying and the selling. So the agenda that I have for this demonstration is going to be going to cover through inventory information. So I just want to show you what level of information we can capture inside MYOB Advanced. That becomes more of like a single source of truth that can then connect to things like e-commerce systems or POS systems or WMS system, because the idea is that we hold all of that information inside MYOB Advanced. I'll then take you through a purchase order workflow, which essentially just talks a bit more about how we can get an accurate cost of the product and how we can actually purchase the products inside MYOB Advanced. I'll then take you through a sales order workflow, which is again just talks a little bit about how we sell the product, how the multiple departments like a sales, the warehouse, the finance all come together in a sort of single workflow, but have their own individual areas where they can do things from. And in the end, I'll touch on a bit of reporting. Again, not so much the reporting capability, but the type of reports that a business can get out of using MYOB Advanced that is very specific needs around wholesale distribution industries. So first topic, inventory information. What I'm going to show is what an inventory setup looks like. I've got a pre-configured item. I'll just take you through each items on the item information and talk about where they fit in and then what the benefit the customer will get by using MYOB Advanced. So let's just go into the MYOB Advanced. So this is my demo database, and I've set up this item called laptop. So again, nice and easy. I use this all the time in my demos. It helps me, demonstrate the true functionality of MYOB Advanced. The first thing first, really, we've got a categorization of the items, and that allows us to not only categorize items for reporting purposes, but also from a setup perspective, because you don't want to sit there and enter the detail for 5-10 minutes to create a new item. Account classes allows us to capture a whole lot of information, pre-configure that. For example, any item that we set up under this specific area are going to be, serial tracked items. So you don't have to, like whenever you set up a new item under this category, it's automatically going to be serial tracked. You can also set up things like attributes that are specific to your categories, which essentially allows you to configure the product so that you're asking the right questions, and you can make some of them compulsory as well. So whenever a new item is set up, from a system perspective, you're controlling what information goes in. Because if you're making this a single source of truth, we want to make sure that items are set up correctly. Within the item, we support multiple warehouses, and this is one of the key functionality, and it is a differentiator compared to some of the competitors that we have out there. We support multiple warehouses, and on top of that, we also support multiple bin locations, which means your item can be kept in multiple bin locations in a single warehouse. You get a holistic view of what total quantities you have, but you also get a view of what you have in each of the bin locations so that you know exactly what's where. We also support multiple units of measures, specifically for those items that you could be selling in multiple units of measure. Allows us to capture pricing information against those multiple units of measure, report on the sales quantities as well. So what quantities are we selling for each of those as well? So we can get an understanding of how many boxes we are selling versus how many crates we are selling or how many pallets we are selling. That gives us a level of detail that is quite a differentiator, and multiple units of measures are one feature that is quite useful in certain type of products. We support multiple and quite a detailed pricing model. So there's two aspects to it. There is a special pricing. So if a customer has a customer specific pricing or a group of customer specific pricing, we can capture them here. They have a start and end date so that they can basically be pre-configured before even they kick in, so that the prices are always accurate. But there's also a discounting model that allows us to sort of discount or an applied discount based on various parameters. So we've got quite a sophisticated pricing and discounting model in MYOB Advanced, so much so that they support quite a wide variety of discounting structure and pricing structures. From a supplier perspective, we've got the ability to store multiple suppliers, their last purchase prices, their lead times, minimum, maximum order quantities, and pricing in their currencies as well if you're buying from overseas, which is quite common for a lot of the wholesalers in Australia. And we can also capture their individual lead times and what they call their products as well. So a lot of this information is then becomes handy when you're making decisions or you're purchasing decisions, where to purchase from, how long does it take. If you're in a hurry to get the product, you might go for your local supplier, but if you got time on your hand, you might go for an overseas supplier. But you also look at the cost and go, is it worth getting a product 30 days earlier by paying, I don't know, almost 5 times the price. Attribute, again, as I said, it's a dual purpose screen. It's really utilized to provide a non-financial information or a non-sales information, which essentially defines the product, allows us to categorize either on our portal or on our websites to go where they appear, as well as capture the pictures, which essentially then this becomes the single source of truth. Whatever you edit here should reflect in all these other external systems. If you are using the existing e-commerce connectors, Shopify, BigCommerce, they'll utilize this info. Plus, there is an additional tab, which is the e-commerce tab, that also utilizes that info. It will actually use a lot of this information so that this becomes whatever you do here, updates automatically. The other key one is the replenishment tab, where we are defining, our optimum level of stock, depending on the edition you are selling. Plus, allows you to only define safety stock and reorder points. But if you are going enterprise, you can do things like, moving average, which essentially can help you determine your reorder and safety stocks. So we've got quite a good functionality in this areas around making stock levels optimum. So you're not holding too much, but you're not constantly running out as well. So what I'm going to cover now is I'm going to go through a purchase order workflow where we look at creating a purchase order, creating a landed cost, applying the additional cost, and getting the product into our warehouse to be able to then sell it next. So purchase orders can be created from various sources, right? So purchase order, I've created this manually, but purchase orders could come in from replenishment suggestions, as we showed before, or they could come in from a product that we don't hold, but more like a special product where a customer orders it, we'll order it from our supplier. So purchase orders can come in from various sources. It could also be requested by someone in the team if you're using the requisition module, or it could be raised from our manufacturing module, which essentially is an MRP area that can also raise a purchase order. So there are various ways to raise purchase orders, but the idea is once the purchase order is in the system, you can go through an approval process if you have it configured. I don't have it configured in this, so it's automatically approved, or at least I'm not meeting the criteria for me to approve this purchase order. Once the orders are in the system, you can have things like the open quantity of the order or versus what you receipted so far. So you can have like multiple receipts against this purchase order. What I'm going to go through next is do a receipt of this purchase order. Typically, this is done by the warehouse. When the goods are arriving at the warehouse or when they get notified by an overseas supplier, it's on the ship, you'd create a receipt. So when you go and create a receipt, you're really telling the system what you're receiving and what quantity you're receiving and at what cost, if that happens to be different cost compared to a purchase order. We could be receiving the bill at the same time. In this case, to save time, I will receive the bill at the same time, but it could be a separate process where somebody else receives the bill as well. There's a lot of functionality in Advanced to sort of configure, customized, however you put it. Things like, okay, I needed to print a docket for this so that I can stick it to my product. Well, I've been able to set up a side panel that essentially allows me to print the labels for the number of items that I'm receiving. So it should be, again, not tested, so I won't show this, but it would actually show me a number of labels that I can print. So there's various ways to customize, configure the workflows for a client-specific needs, but in a nutshell, we are receiving the goods and the system will be updated. So I've got 38 on hand. I received 5 more. It'll basically update the quantity of that stock. If the products are serial track, lot tracked, you would be required to enter the serial numbers. In my case, it's a serial track product, but I've got it automated, so I don't have to key the data in. Once you've done the receipts, like the true cost of the product is not just the cost of the product, but the cost of getting the product to our warehouse. Now, that could include things like duty. That could also include things like freight costs and so forth. So in this case, let's go, we paid $100 of duty and we paid $200 of freight costs. So this cost will then get added on top of the product cost. So we'll just enter the bill number. And basically, this then tells us that, okay, way too smart for me today, that I'm entering the numbers that are. As you can see, I'm very predictive about typing these numbers. And this is like second time I've typed this number. So too much muscle memory, I say. In terms of, the product, it cost us $2,500 plus we are adding another $300 for the landed cost. So we are now recognizing the true cost of that product to bring it into our warehouse. What that means is when we go to sell it, we know exactly what we are making on that product. So that's the purchasing workflow. So what we've looked at is we've ordered the goods, how we can receive it. Again, I'm doing it all, but this can all be, separated into individual workflows by different people, and then cost the goods, landed cost the goods and receive it, and create the bill for both of those. We then go into the sales order workflow, right? So I've actually got a sales order here. I'm just going to copy this order and create a new order because I think I've completed this one. And then we'll go through the sales order workflow. So I'm just going to copy this sales order so that I don't have to key it in again. But with the sales order workflow, allows us to sort of segregate the selling, the supplying, and the invoicing duties into 3 different areas. The key workflows are you create a sales order. Now, that could have come in from a quote. It could have come in from a CRM module, or it could have come in from manually entering the data, could have come in from the website, could have come in from the customer portal. There are a wide variety of ways to get this sales order into the system. I've manually created it, but Advanced supports all of those workflows. When you're looking at a sales order, you can pick up the customer, who you are selling to within that customer's organization. So, we sell to people, so you're capturing the person. If they've given you the order number, which is very common, if you don't have the order number, I won't pay you. So we can capture that, and we can also put in the number of items or number of line items that we are selling to that customer. Pricing, as I said, automatically comes in. So depending on who you're selling to, the price should reflect that. And if there are any discounts set up, they should also reflect that as well. We can also set up what date I'm selling it to. So I've already changed my date to 23rd, so I can ship this product, but you can take forward dated orders, which means you take the order today, but you're going to deliver it in 23rd. The automation module within MYOB Advanced will automatically create a shipment. In my case, I'm creating it manually, but it can create a shipment automatically for the warehouse to go and pick, pack, and ship the products. So the first step is to create the order. Second step, really create a shipment to sell or send the order to the customer. Now, this is where a warehouse can utilize a mobile functionality. So if you've got a mobile app that allows us a paperless picking, that you can assign pickers to your orders. You can do batch and wave picking as well. So you can consolidate various orders into a single pick and then sort them and then pack them and then ship them, depending on the customer's workflow. We can support those. In my case, I'm just going to go manual for now. So we've got, quantity of 15 that is needed. We've only actually got 13, so that 2 are going to be remaining on back order. So system knows that. As you can see at the bottom here, you don't have enough, so you're going to ship what you have. The serial numbers, in my case, I've sent it to the system to pick it up automatically, but customer can pick it up manually if they need to as well. And then you can print a whole lot of documents here. You can print the pick list or shipping confirmation. Again, this stuff can be done in bulk. I'm just doing it manually. So once you confirm the shipment, this is where you're telling the system that this has been picked. I would have been able to enter things like the tracking number if I had automatic packaging or freight calculations, which has already worked out the freight price of $605 based on my various parameters. So all of those things can be automated, helping the customer not have to worry about some of those. Once we are ready, we can prepare the invoice. Now, this can be done in bulk, so I will show you the bulk process option for this. So I've got this process shipment screen. Now, for any screen that is under process tab and has a button like this, I can set up a schedule to run it automatically. In my case, I'll set this to run every 5 minutes. What that means is it will automatically pick up this order, any order that lists here, and process them and create the invoice. In this case, I'm just going to create it manually. So it's now created the invoice for me, which then we can have another process for the invoices, which can email that invoice automatically to the customer as well. So that, once the warehouse confirms what's called left the door, that customer gets invoiced. Again, it all depends on what the customer workflow is, but automation will greatly help the customers streamline some of their operations and minimize the work that they have to do to fulfill the orders and get the orders out. Reduce the errors, of course, as well. So that's the sales order workflow. What we just looked at is this advanced system will help us deliver these sales orders on time, every time, really, if you're using some of the automation, some of the replenishment features, making sure that we've got stock on hand for all of the things that we need. So reporting, again, with reporting, it's subjective to the customer, but we do have quite a number of reports that system comes with. Dashboards functionality is another great functionality and allows us to configure dashboard to meet client requirement. In my case, I'm looking at a sales manager dashboard. In a sales manager tunnel vision, I'm focusing on what's coming in my door or what can I get. So I've divided that screen into 2 sections. Left is everything that I'm selling. Right is what can I sell to and who am I selling it to. Everything's drill down capable. I can also do documents directly from the screens as well. I can filter these results and I can actually filter the data based on the date ranges as well. There are other options like, with the dashboard, we can have type like, a parameter, sort of a pipeline type views or more like a KPI meters. You can have tables, pivot tables, graphs. And they're color coded as well. So if things are not going so well, they can turn into red. Things are going good, then it's green. You might be able to change the course, turn from yellow to green. They are the yellow ones as well. So we've got various different color schemes around, and they can be either dynamically set or they can be configured, pre-configured based on the customer's KPI. There's also really good pivot table reporting that you can do. So pivot table allows us to sort of segregate the data into the groups, looking at it as a group level, but also break it down into individual sections. And the profitability for any wholesale distribution is at the forefront of their mind. And if we can demonstrate some of those type of reports, it kind of cements the confidence into the system. So for example, here I've got a BA Industries that's kind of making me a lot of money because, as you can see, I'm selling $649,000. My cost is that. Every wholesalers would love to have this kind of margins. That's probably not the reality, but it's just my demo data. And you can then break it down by items as well, and you can analyze which items are making more money versus less. So reporting, we can go on, but I kind of show some of these key reports that we can generate for them. And obviously, then it comes down to what do you want and how deep are your pockets around the reporting. But we do have some great functionality to service the reporting needs of a wholesale distributor. So with saying that, I've just gone overview the key functionality. There's a whole lot that we can do in MYOB Advanced around wholesale distribution. But if there are any questions, please pop them into the chat. I'm more than happy to answer them. And I'll pass it back to Russell.
Thanks, Ailesh. Great presentation. We'll stop there, just see if there is any questions where someone may want to come off mute and ask anything. Okay, looks like we're good at the moment. All right, I'll quickly take the team through the resources that are available. Now, at the moment, we are finalising some of the resources, so what you'll find on the portal is a bit limited at the moment. Let me just bring that up. Just missed it. So again, if you type in wholesale distribution, there comes a tag here. At the moment, there's only 3 documents, but we're about to pop a whole heap other ones in there by Monday. So we have things like a battle card, a product primer, and so forth, like you saw on CAD Talk. But the ones that are in there at the moment, we've got a discovery guide that's available. We have the customer presentation, and we also have an ebook or brochure that's available that you can share with your customers as well, which is it's actually a nice branded one. Actually, I don't mind it. So that's available there also. But as I said, by Monday, you'll have a whole heap of other stuff in there, as well as today's video and today's presentation as well. So that will be all available for you. But with that said, that brings us to the end of the session. Any last questions that you may have, or any customers you may want to talk about that you may see this fit for? All right. Looks like everybody's ready for the weekend. So, okay, with that said, guys, I'll call the meeting to an end. If you do have any questions after the session, feel free to reach out to any of the presenters you saw today. You can get on the chat or even go via Steve, as I said earlier. So feel free to reach out. But with that being said, thanks for your time, team. Have a great Friday and a great weekend. We'll speak to you later.